to be an American because I was born sort of like in the bottom of the barrel, you can call it. But by the grace of God, being an American allowed me, like other Americans, to make some determinations that allowed me to earn a master's degree, to travel all over the world, to be standing here in front of you, and to have a passport that allows me to move anywhere I want to move. And I take that with full responsibility. And I handle it with responsibility. And I do have a right that if I think that my country is wrong, if I think that my president is wrong, if I think that the policies are wrong, I have the right and the responsibility as an American to say it's wrong. Well, if I had a different citizenship and a different president, I may not be able to say anything at all. So I'm grateful that God has given me this ability to speak my mind, and I do so with full responsibility. Now, when a country, a society, gets to the point where they believe that they have a right to dominate the world in spite of other people's values, to dominate with their products, with their services, with their flag, with their culture, with their language, with their values, with their immorality. This is a sign that this country has become insensitive, has become blind, and it is headed towards decline. It is headed towards decline. And I believe, I'm not making any predictions because I can't, but I think that someone could have spoke to us in 1970 and said that in 15 years the Soviet Union would be over. But in 1970, nobody said that. Nobody even predicted it. But in 1985 or thereabouts, what happened? The boogeyman, the Soviet Union, the boogeyman, suddenly is just gone. A different name, a different currency. They were the boogeyman, but now they're in bed with their adversaries, sleeping with their heads on different pillows, of course. Who would have predicted that? And so who would think or predict that the United States of America, it may have a different name in 15 or 20 years. They may have to negotiate and create a different name. Who would have thought that all these countries that are part of the European Union would have a need to create a new name? Because their independent names and their independent currencies and their independent GMP was no longer valuable enough to be independent. And this is the way the world is moving towards globalism. But I was going to tell you that my president has just been named 3 years ago. He's got a new name. He's called the Commander-in-Chief of Outer Space. Can you imagine that? They sent so many satellites out of space, and they found nobody's out there except them. So they said we have to protect the frontiers of space. And so to do that, they have set up a new command post in space. And the President of the United States is the Commander-in-Chief of Outer Space. I wonder if he'll get a chance to examine the troops out there. Now, inevitably, both individuals and governments are subject to demise, depreciation, and termination. Is anybody in this room here who would disagree that at some time and place in the near or distant future, everyone in this room here is going to be a ghost? A ghost. That means a memory. Something written, spoken about, documented, remembered. I don't care who you are, that's the case. And that's what we have all in common between life and death. in a verse of a book, a scripture called the Quran, that I would suggest every human being take a chance to read. If you can't read it all, read a verse, read a chapter of it. I mean, why not? You watch TV, you got 100, and if you got cable, you got 700 something channels, including those adult channels. If you got a computer, you're surfing the web. But then go to Google or Giggle, whatever search engine you got, and just put in the word Quran. Quran. Yeah, Quran. Just put it in there. I dare you. I'm not telling you to put it in there because of religious purposes. Just put the word Quran in there and see how many hits that you get down there. See how many. And then just click one and just listen. Listen to the Quran. If it's in Arabic, you won't understand it, but just listen to it. And then ask for a translation, and then read it. Well, in one of the chapters of the Quran, this is a book of 6,626 verses, 114 chapters, that was revealed to a man called Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, who himself claimed to be a prophet of God, like Jesus, like Moses, like Abraham, like David, like Solomon. He claimed to be a prophet. And we believe, as Muslims, that he was a prophet. We believe that this Quran was in fact revealed to him. This is what our belief is. You don't have to believe that, but we do. In this book, among other things that I'm going to tell you about this book, there's a verse that says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. Says, glory be to the one in whose hands, whose power there is all the dominion of the heavens and the earth that you and I cannot even imagine. It's established that there is a power, there is a mind, there is an intelligence, there is an authority, there is a sovereignty behind this, what we call the creation. وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. And that power and that sovereignty has all absolute power. Not humans, not governments, individuals or collectively, past, present, future, nothing. We're just sophisticated sperm drops. That's all we are. Sophisticated. But that's where we started out. And in the end, dust to dust, ashes to ashes, that's all we'll be. وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ. It is that authority, that power, it is that mind, that intelligence that has created the heavens and the earth and everything in it, and created death for the humans before giving them life. Think about that. Death was conferred upon us before we were even given life. It was already there, inescapable. When you came into life, you carried with you the imprint on your DNA. You gotta die. That's a ticket that comes with the package. Life, death. But in this particular verse, we usually as humans say life, death, because we're living looking at death, even though we ignore it. But in this verse, it switches it, because the one who has given the life says, death, we give you as a gift life. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. In order to see which one of you will be the best in their behavior and in their conduct or their responses. Now that verse gives us the premise of our discussion. That the purpose of life, this small little like that, that's all it is. We think of it as days, weeks, months, years. We call some of us, what do they call a person who's 100 years old, we call them? A centenarian or something. What's that terminology? Somebody who's 80 years old, we give them different names, but it's just like that. And if you're 60 today, or in my case, 59 in 3 days. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, huh?